bleak yet streaked with hope. That's how I describe I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Harpman. I just finished reading this book a couple of days ago, and I have to say, it's absolutely amazing. It's a very powerful book, very well written, very intriguing. I just could not stop reading it. I read it very, very quickly and very fast, and I just found myself really pulled into it. It's just a really great book. It's a really powerful novel. To me, it's possibly perfect, and I highly recommend it. And if that's all you needed to hear, you can bounce and go to the next video. But if you want to stick around for a little bit, I'll tell you why I think it's such a great, great book. So it's billed and marketed as a post-apocalyptic dystopian novel, which in your mind, you immediately think of like it's a sci-fi novel or possibly a thriller or something like that. And it's not. It's really more of a speculative fiction novel. There has been some kind of event that has happened which has pushed the world into a very strange state. And I'll have to describe a little bit for you to understand what that is. But I want to say that at no point in the book is it explained what had previously happened to cause the characters to be in the type of world they're in now. And I think that that's really amazing and really powerful, and I really love that about this book. Really, the book and the story are about the characters, not about being in a post-apocalyptic world. It's really about how they are going to continue living. And they do continue living, how they live their lives. So the story is told from the point of view of a young girl who is with 39 other women, and they're living in a cage. So there's a total of 40 people living in this cage, 39 women and one younger girl, younger woman. She's, I think, maybe 13 or 14 when the book starts. She does not remember her life before going into the cage, although she was not born in the cage. She was not born in this kind of strange time. The other women do remember their lives outside of the cage, and they often talk about it and reminisce about it, but the girl has no recollection of what her life was like before living in the cage. So these women are in this cage, and they're guarded by male-only guards who are probably soldiers. Again, we don't know. None of that is ever really explained in the book because it is almost kind of not important. What's important is the experience of the characters. They have almost no interaction between the women and the soldiers, and their only interaction is when the guards or the soldiers bring the ingredients that the women then cook for their own meals. So they're able to cook inside of this cage. They have running water, there is electricity, and there is air conditioning. They have some clothing, and they're given fabric from time to time when they need to mend their clothing, but that's basically it. They don't speak with these guards, there's no interaction, and anytime the guards think that the women are doing something they shouldn't be doing, like maybe talking about something they shouldn't be talking, or fraternizing in a way they shouldn't be, the guards have these whips, and they're very adept with their whips, so they can basically crack the whip above the heads of the women or near the women to kind of scare them and get them to stop what they're doing. So it's almost like firing a warning shot, but using a whip instead. Very strange, very bizarre. You can tell from the beginning, just from all that the women are treated like livestock. They basically have become livestock. For what purpose is unknown, and there's a lot of speculation amongst the women as to what that purpose is. But apparently they've been in there for years, and nothing has ever really happened beyond this routine of being given food to cook, cooking the food, eating the food, and so on and so on and so on. So it's very, very strange what's going on. And then something happens outside of the bunker and outside of the cage where they are. There's a sound that sounds like a siren or a signal. The guards all rush out, and that's it. They're gone. And the women are able to leave the cage. And when they do, they go out into the world above, and they find that they're basically living in an empty world. And they don't recognize where they are. They don't recognize the land or the terrain. There are no landmarks. It's just this kind of like flat, seemingly endless plain. There's no mountains, no hills, just kind of this long, endlessly rolling plain. And that's kind of where I have to stop with describing the plot, because I don't want to give it all away. What I've told you happens very early in the book, so I haven't spoiled it or anything for you too. It's a very short book. It's only 185 pages. So it's hard to really discuss it without giving it all away. So what I want to talk about is just more about why I really enjoyed it and what I think the themes of it are and what made it such a powerful read. This book was really just like an absolute joy to read. It's not a fun read, and when I say joy, I don't mean fun, but like it's such a well-crafted book, and it's the story is so tight and so well-crafted, and the writing is so good. The prose is very, very clean, almost minimal, but at the same time, the story and everything is just so intriguing, and we live in the head of the narrator so intimately and so well that we are just really in the moment with everything that happens. And another thing I liked about this book was the structure of it. There's no flashbacks to previous lives or previous events or anything like that. It's a very linear story. It starts and then it just progresses forward to its end point. And I really, really admired that. I think a lot of other writers would have taken a lot of time to tell flashbacks and to tell the stories of each of these characters and the events of the world around them, but she has chosen not to do any of that. Instead, she's really just sticks with her narrator and giving us the feeling of what it's really like to be living at this time in this world. And yes, it is bleak, and yes, it's harrowing, and yes, it's disturbing, and yet, like I said at the beginning, there's a lot of hope in the book, in the way that the main character lives her life. You know, she hasn't known anything else, and so when she sprung out onto the outside world, she in some ways has kind of a whole new adventure. And while there's a certain sadness to it in that the world seems to have undergone some sort of strange and terrible transformation, she's able to experience so many new things, and we experience those things with her, that there is a kind of hope in that, and there is a kind of joy in that. And that I found to be really, really endearing. And it's an interesting device to use as a writer, whereas normally this kind of story would be very existentialist, almost even nihilist, you know, where we just wonder, like, what's the point of existing in this kind of world? Whereas these characters do actually find reasons to continue existing in this world. So it's really amazing. Like she finds beauty, you know, like just in very simple things in nature, like in the sky, the feeling of being in a cold river sometimes, or watching stars at night, or tending to a fire, or even just like caring for each other and things like that. There's definitely a kind of beauty and a kind of joy in that. And I think that beauty and that joy makes the story very, very human. It's a story that could easily not be human. It's a story that could easily be very cold and calculating and maybe in some ways really preachy about society or things like that. But we don't have any of that in this story. Instead, it's really just a truly very humanistic kind of story. But what I will say is that this book, as difficult and bleak and harrowing as it is very incredibly rewarding reading. And for me, it's definitely in my top 5 for the year, possibly of all time. It's like it's that good. It's just filled with so many wow moments. It's filled with so many touching moments. I just think it's a really great book. I recently read Solaris, which is another very short science fiction novel. And at the beginning, I was kind of comparing the two, but they're very, very different. Solaris is a very philosophical novel and very much science fiction novel of ideas, whereas this is very much a novel of speculation, but also a very humanistic novel. It's a very human kind of story. It's actually really, really touching story. The Guardian calls it a haunting, post-apocalyptic tale, but I would say it's a compelling and incredibly, incredibly human story.